Welcome back to Clarkenomics. In this video, I'll be talking about costs and benefits. In the previous video, we learned a little bit about costs and benefits already. We said that costs are something you give up. When you're presented with a trade-off, you're going to have a choice, but that choice is going to involve a cost. And sometimes we're going to measure that cost in money, as you're used to doing. But you also have to remember opportunity cost. That counts too, the thing that you didn't choose, the next best use of your time or money. So don't forget about that. But today we're really going to focus on in this video benefits. Benefits are what you gain from a decision. So, when you make a trade-off, you have a choice. Benefits are what you get from that choice. Now, of course, measuring happiness or utility or whatever word you'd like to use can be tricky, but we're going to use money because it's something we all pretty much understand. So let's practice measuring benefit. For instance, you go to a local coffee shop and you buy a cup of coffee. Let's imagine that the price of that cup of coffee is $2. Now, you believed that that coffee would give you at least $2 worth of benefit. Think about it for a minute. You believed when you saw that coffee on the menu that you would get at least $2 worth of benefit from that coffee. Because if you didn't believe that that coffee was not worth $2, well, you wouldn't have bought it, right? So we can't necessarily say exactly how many dollars worth of happiness that coffee gave you, but we can say it's at least $2 worth of happiness, otherwise you would not have bought that coffee. Now that does, of course, raise the question, could the coffee have given you more than $2 of benefit? And the answer is sure. And there's actually a term for this. We call this consumer surplus. It's the difference between what you were willing to pay and what you actually had to pay. So imagine, if you will, that you were really tired and you really wanted coffee, or it's really cold outside and you want to get warmed up, and you would have been willing to pay $5 for a cup of coffee because you're just that cold and that tired. But you go to the store and the coffee only costs $2. In this situation, you would get $3 of consumer surplus. You get, the $2 worth of benefit that we know that you would have, paid, but then you also get that $3 additional that you would have paid. But fortunately for you, you didn't have to. So we can measure benefit by using dollars. Now, in real life, it's not usually a yes or no kind of question, apples or oranges. Usually the questions that we are asked in economics are marginal questions. So we have to practice thinking about marginal values, not asking yes or no in total, but asking rather how much. So a marginal question would sound, not should I get coffee or shouldn't I get coffee, but it would sound like how many cups of coffee should I drink? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's clearly too much coffee, but you get the point. Not should I study or shouldn't I study for this test, but how long should I study for this test? What's the optimal amount of time I should spend studying? How much should I pay attention in class? You can't pay attention all the time. Everybody drifts off from time to time, but the question is, okay, how much should I pay attention? How many years should I go to college? Just get an undergraduate degree, go for a master's degree, go for a doctorate degree? How many hours should I spend gaming? How many hours should I work at my summer job? Even like big grown-up questions like how many kids should I have? First you have to say kids or no kids, but after that, then, you sometimes have to ask yourself, okay, how many? So thinking at the margin is the expression economists like to use. And this is thinking about each additional unit of a decision rather than the decision, total. And so most, life decisions are marginal. How much, how many, not yes or no. And so that's what we're going to look at down the road here. But for now, let's look at total cost. Let's just talk about cost. How much total cost do you incur by consuming different amounts of coffee? And I made a little table right here. It's pretty easy to see. If coffee costs $2 a cup and you buy 1 cup of coffee, your total cost is $2. You buy 2 cups of coffee, your total cost of coffee is 4, and so on and so forth all the way down the table here. That is what we call total cost. And one of the things we do quite a bit in economics is we graph stuff. So to graph total cost, I put the table over there to the right just to make it easy, and we'll just graph all these points. So our x-axis is going to be quantity measured in cups of coffee consumed, in other words, the first column of our table. And our y-axis over here, that's going to be total cost measured, of course, in dollars. And so our first point is going to be 1 as an x value and 2 as a y value. That puts us right here to plot that first point from the table, 1 and 2. And we can go all the way down the table and plot it. And of course, as we buy more coffee, our total cost of coffee keeps going up. Not too bad, all the way up there to 14 total dollars spent on 7 cups of coffee. So that's total cost. But now it's time to get to the good stuff. Now we're going to get to marginal cost. Marginal cost is the cost of each additional cup of coffee, not looking at the total cost, but how much in cost does one more cup of coffee actually add. So if you look at the table to the right there, what happens to the marginal cost when you drink more cups of coffee? The answer is nothing. It stays constant, because while the total cost might be going up, up and up and up and up, it's rising by $2 every time. So the first cup of coffee cost you $2, so the marginal cost was $2. The second cup of coffee cost you $2 more for a total of 4. So marginal is the difference between these total values. So 4 minus 2 is 2, 6 minus 4 is 2, 8 minus 6 is 2, and so on and so forth. So we're ignoring opportunity cost here. We're strictly talking about the cost, but in a situation like this one, the marginal cost stays constant. If we wanted to get real exciting and graph this one, the cost of the first cup of coffee was obviously $2. The second cup of coffee was obviously $2. And you can see where we are going with this. So marginal cost does not change depending on these things. So let's get to something a little bit more exciting here. Let's talk about total benefit. How much benefit do you have after consuming different amounts of coffee? So we said earlier that if you consume 1 cup of coffee, we know that you get at least $2 worth of benefit from that. We established that in an earlier slide. Let's say you drink 2 cups of coffee. We're going to say that your total benefit from drinking 2 cups of coffee is $3.50, not $4, and we'll see why in a little bit here. But as you consume more coffee, look what happens to your total benefit. It rises and rises and rises, and then it doesn't change, and then it actually starts to fall. So to graph this information, let's take a look. First point, cups of coffee on the X, total benefit on the Y. 1 cup of coffee, $2 in total benefit. 2 cups of coffee, $3.50 worth of benefit. 3 cups of coffee, $4.50, and we keep going. And it's rising, our total benefit is rising. What that means is we're getting happier and happier as we consume more coffee, but not by as much each time. And then, okay, no change, and then we actually start to become worse off by consuming more coffee. Interesting. I guess we get a little jittery or don't feel so good, and so that's something we're going to explore. When we look at marginal benefit, marginal benefit works the same way as marginal cost did, and that is the difference between two total values. So again, the first cup of coffee added $2 worth of benefit here, as we see right there, so the marginal benefit was $2. The total benefit after drinking 2 cups was $3.50. Since we already know that that first cup gave us $2 worth of benefit, that second cup had to have only added $1.50. So $3.50 minus $2 is $1.50. The third cup of coffee, look at that, the third cup of coffee, our total benefit's $4.50. That third cup only added the difference between these two values, aka $1. The fourth cup only added 50 cents of benefit. The fifth cup actually didn't add any benefit. The sixth cup actually reduced our benefit by 50 cents, and the seventh cup reduced our benefit by a full dollar. So clearly, what happens to the marginal utility when you drink more cups of coffee? The marginal utility gets smaller each time. And this is something that economists refer to as diminishing marginal benefit or diminishing marginal utility. The more you do an action over and over again, the less marginal benefit you get each time. So if we were to graph this one, taking a look, first cup of coffee gave us, as we know, $2 worth of benefit. Great. Second cup of coffee, the marginal benefit, which by the way is what's on the y-axis now, marginal benefit, not total. And this is the x-axis right here. It just happens to be in the middle of our graph because, as you probably can tell, we're going to have some negative values. So the second cup of coffee right here, that one gave us $1.50 of marginal benefit. So there you go. And you know what's going to happen. Third cup, less benefit from that cup. Fourth cup, less benefit from that cup. The fifth cup added no benefit at all. And then The sixth cup, negative marginal benefit. Not cost, still benefit, but negative benefit. And then the seventh cup took away a whole dollar of marginal benefit. So, the big marginal question here is how many cups of coffee should you consume? If you go back and look at the table, you might be able to tell just from this information. But just in case, you're going to have to watch the next video for the answer. Thanks for watching.